Hey, what's going on guys, Crazy here, back with some more Spider-Man PS5 news, and today we have some really exciting details to go over. We finally found out more about the story in the upcoming Spider-Man Miles Morales, thanks to a recent interview with the creative director over at Insomniac Games. We also have some details about the abilities that Miles Morales is going to use, some details about Peter Parker's whereabouts, since I know that this is a huge question from a lot of people out there, including yours truly, and also some other goodies in there that have been prepared for you. So let's jump right into it, and if you enjoyed this video, a thumbs up on it would definitely be super awesome. Let's begin with the story, since Miles was such a huge part of the first game as well. He was basically with us up until the very end of the last DLC, when he just starts undergoing training with Peter in becoming the Spider-Man, his version of Spider-Man, and I truly believe that Insomniac Games did a marvelous job at setting him up for his own spin-off. I truly think that it's time that we experienced a different kind of Spider-Man, and I think that most people out there are going to be surprised about this game and the fact that it's going to give us a different kind of Spider-Man with different kind of abilities and different kinds of movements and swinging and whatnot. More on that in just a little bit, as we do have information on that as well, but I want to start things off with the setting of the game and what you should expect from it. And of course, we have this interview with Brian Horton, creative director over at Insomniac Games, that sheds a bit more light on that as well. So it is now winter time, about a year after the events of the first game, Marvel's New York City covered in snow, and just before Christmas break, a war between an energy corporation and a high-tech criminal army has broken out. Miles' new home in Harlem is at the heart of the battle, according to the interview right here. So we should expect a full story arc experience with Miles, one that's more akin to a game like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy in terms of overall scope. Marvel Spider-Man Miles Morales is an important, heartfelt, emotional, and essential experience to expanding the Marvel Spider-Man universe, and we hope it will be for you as well. I will admit though that I'm really digging that comparison with The Lost Legacy, since that was an amazing spin-off from the main Uncharted series, but this also likely means that we're going to have a much lengthier story campaign than we initially predicted, about 10 hours, which sounds really awesome for a standalone game. Also, the price point should be much lower, about $40 is what usually goes for, and this doesn't even begin the fact that it's going to release on a brand new generation of consoles with brand new hardware capabilities, which kind of brings me to the next section of the interview, going over those technical details and all of the goodies you should expect from the upcoming Marvel Spider-Man. This includes some of the stuff that has been teased in the past, including near instant loading times. That's gonna be a staple for most of the next gen games. Ray tracing has also been confirmed, which should make the city way more lively than ever before. The brand new 3D audio tech from Sony and the DualSense controller haptic feedback is going to make the game feel even more immersive and basically change the way you feel, experience, and see the games on the PlayStation 5. But I think that Insomniac Games is going to exceed even these expectations, since of course they've also confirmed that they are going to upgrade the characters with 4D scans and improve skin shading for more realistic looking characters and hair that moves far more naturally. We had a few glimpses of the new faces in the trailer as well, like the face reveal in the beginning when the whole costume kind of breaks off and disintegrates. That was like really an awesome moment that I really enjoyed from the trailer, but also towards the end when Miles takes his mask off and you can see those really nice details on the face, way more advanced compared to the first one, and it definitely changes things all around. And this comes from a game that already looked amazing on the previous generation, so I'm really excited to see what this is going to bring in the future, but it should extend to more than this as well, and also to Miles' capabilities, because we talked about that SSD capability of being fast, of being able to load the city very fast, which should, at least in theory, mean that we are getting a much more agile and faster Spider-Man this time around, no longer restricted by the hardware capabilities of the console. Which brings us to the section of abilities. Of course, we know that his abilities lore-wise are quite different compared to Peter's, but we now have confirmation from none other than Insomniac Games that indeed they are also aiming for Miles Morales to feel and for us to play him differently compared to Peter's version of Spider-Man, which kinda gets me really excited. So I'm going to post a link to this interview right here that kinda explains that a little bit. So according to this latest interview, his traversal is unique to him. He has his unique style of traversal as well as the combat capabilities that are unique and special to him. Of course, also lore-wise that makes sense because we already know about that, but even from the trailers we can see a few teasers of him swinging around the city, and you can see that he has a lot more style than Peter when it comes to, well, just swinging around and diving in. It definitely seems that it's his style that he incorporates in his swings and also in his combat and movesets. We already saw a few of his movesets, including his bioelectricity and the invisibility cloak that we can see in various of these shots, and this should add a different style of combat. Maybe there's going to be more than that. I'm really excited to see his skill tree, since this has been teased to be different than Peter's, and obviously he's not going to use as many gadgets as Peter did because he's kind of like a different style of Spider-Man. So I kind of want to see what types of other bioelectricity abilities he has, since there were a couple teased already in the trailer. Let's move over to the map size, and there's nothing yet indicating if there's going to be new neighborhoods added to the already existing Manhattan Island that we already had access in the PS4 game, but there is a mention of Harlem and the fact that Miles has his new home in that neighborhood. So even though we might not get to see any of the new neighborhoods that are over the bridges like Brooklyn and whatnot, we might get to see some of the existing ones being expanded upon, and my mind already goes to Harlem. I think that's the obvious choice right here. It's his home. It's not such a big part of the city in the PlayStation 4 game, so I think that Insomniac Games might expand upon this quite a lot and still keep the rest of the game in there with the rest of the Manhattan Island. Maybe even expand the other surrounding neighborhoods as well, since that would make a ton of sense, but it remains to be seen if that's going to be the case. We do know on the other hand that there are other improvements to the city, including the fact that it's wintertime, everything is covered in snow from the rooftops to the street level, cars, even various areas and trees all covered in snow, and it is snowing. So my question is there finally a day and night cycle? Is there a weather system? Because from what I've seen so far, it seems that the developers are alluding to that a little bit, though it might be a mistake on my part. On the other hand, it also looks like the city seems more lively in these trailers compared to the previous game, and mainly in the same shots we can see way more people, way more cars, even on the same street level, and it begs the question if there's going to be more stuff to do at the street level compared to ever before. What if you can change back in Miles Morales' own form and just walk like that on the city, like how it was in various shots in the DLC? Maybe new interactions with the NPCs would be really great. Now, on a final note, what about Peter Parker? As obviously a lot of people out there were wondering, is he still alive? What's happening? Why is only Miles Morales the main focus? And again, this game is about only Miles, and Peter is okay according to the creative director. Don't worry, we still have much of Peter's story left to tell, but this game is all about Miles, a critical part of our Spider-Man universe, and you won't want to miss what happens. Furthermore, he even gives hints about another Spider-Man game and what's going to happen next to the Marvel Spider-Man universe. So according to the interview, it's been great to also work with Brian Intihar, who directed the first game, as he continues to imagine big things for the Marvel Spider-Man universe. And tell me how this isn't a hint towards another Spider-Man game after Miles Morales. I think it's a no-brainer that Spider-Man 2 PlayStation 5 is going to happen at some point, given the massive success of the first one on the PS4, and of course the fact that pretty much everybody wants to see the continuation of the story from the first one, and this makes sense. But the natural question that follows up after that is, what exactly is Peter even doing during these events? Is he even in town at this point? Is he out on vacation? Or is he fighting some enemies in a different part of the world? And I'm asking that because we had the Avengers Tower in the first game. He also had a dialogue specific when you reach the tower, and he mentioned something along the lines that they aren't in town, they're on the other coast and fighting their enemies over there. Of course, it was implied that this would go hand in hand with the upcoming Marvel's Avengers game that's going to be released by Crystal Dynamics, but now we also know that that game has its own universe, so it's going to be different than this one and not connected in any way. So it could be that Insomniac Games has something planned for an Avengers crossover maybe. Maybe we might get to see some cameos from some members of the Avengers. It would be really awesome. I would also love to see some Fantastic Four cameos, like how it was in the Ultimate Spider-Man, which was an amazing game that I loved, but it remains to be seen if that's going to be the case. Nonetheless, I'm super excited for the game. Expect more coverage on this video since I'm planning to play it a lot and cover it a lot. And yeah, as always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to comment, like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and peace.